Well, we would like to thank you for taking the trouble to listen to our sad stories. I think the fact that you are taking this trouble shows that your heart is in the right side, that you care, and that you are not standing aside. Thank you for that.
Yes, we spent 5 years to make this film, so now it's your turn to ask questions.
We have a secret agreement between us that all the difficult questions will go to him and the rest to me. He is an expert on forgiveness and religion and God and things like this. I'm an expert on one state or two states. So you can ask any question, personal, political. We'll do our best to answer.
Hello, good morning, good evening. I am really touched. I know that my heart is in the good place, but it's completely upside down. You made it really hard tonight. I would like to share with you, I was engaged in Peace University 11 years ago as a trainer, and I was saying to the General Secretary, are you sure you will engage me? Because if someone is killing my child, I will run my life in the frustration circle, the violent circle, and I couldn't get rid of it. And she was laughing at me and she said, lucky it won't happen to you because we are in a peace part of the world. Being tonight and listening to you, it makes me really emotionally touched, and I can't understand how much can the people be so good and forgive and looking for peace and love to each other. And can you tell me, where did you get this inspiration and how is it coming through? Because as a mom, I can't understand it.
It's really a difficult question. You never imagine that something bad will happen to you, and especially to your kids. But when it's happened, you never know how you act. It's the most terrible thing to happen to anyone on earth, is to lose a son or a daughter. But luckily, we are human beings. We can use our minds. It's not a personal problem between me, my daughter, and the Israeli authorities or the Israeli occupation. Unfortunately, Abir has been killed because she's a Palestinian, and she don't know anything about the conflict. It's a long process to change your mind and to start to act as human beings. I'm a believer. And I believe all the prophets, from Moses, Abraham, Jesus, Muhammad, they teach us how to forgive. And no one of them claimed that he's a God. They're human beings. And they want to teach us as their followers that you can also forgive. But when something bad happened to you, you cannot say, God, forgive them, because they know not what they do. Because I'm not Jesus, and I'm not Muhammad. But again, I am a human being. In the personal level, I have another 5 kids. They deserve to live in a different way. I don't want them to be victims to this killer, because I consider him as a victim by himself. And to remember that forgiveness, it's a deep value in all the humanity, in all religions. And we learn that when you forgive yourself. And this is exactly what I said to the victim who killed my daughter. I said to him when I meet him in the court after 3 years, that I need you to know that you are not a hero. You didn't kill the enemy or the terrorist. You just killed 10 years innocent girl. And if you think it's okay to kill my daughter, enjoy your crime, because I don't ask for revenge. Because I really love my daughter, And I don't take revenge from victims. For me, you are the victim, and you are not less victim than your victim. But in any day in your life, if you come to ask me to forgive you, always you will find me there. I will forgive you. But it's not because of yourself. It's because of myself. Because I really love my daughter, and because I have another 5 kids. I don't want them to be victims to you as a victim. What happened, you make peace with yourself. You give up the victimhood mentality. Then you become free man, and no one can occupy you. And you have no enemies to conquer or to hate. And always I said, if this victim come to ask me to forgive him, I will take my revenge by forgiving him without any mercy. Thank you.
Good evening. What is the importance of religion in your attitude? Does it, because it's part of the conflict in some way, and I had the impression in the film that is maybe also part of strength that you can handle it. So how will you say what is the role of both religions in your case?
Actually, religion is Bassam's department. I will just try to tell you that until now, the conflict is not religious. Until now, the conflict is about interest, about rights, about equality, about water, about domination. I'm afraid that the minute this conflict will become religious, we are doomed. Because religion do not know how to compromise. You cannot ask a Jew to keep only half the Shabbat. And you cannot ask a Muslim to keep only half of Ramadan.
I wish.
You wish, I know. So religious, I think we should use religion as a way of solving this conflict. Because if we will let ourselves to put religion into the conflict, we will lose everything.
Yes, I think religions goes with the nature of the human beings, as I believe. It's not against it. And as Rami said, when you act in the name of God, there is no negotiation. It's a faith. But luckily, it's not a religious conflict, and we start to be very far away from being a religious conflict again. If the religion is part of the conflict, it should be part of the solution, not part of the conflict at all. And if the Jews and the Christians and the Muslims follow their prophets, we will have peace.
You mentioned that it's a very sad story, but the story offers hope, and for me, hope that offers eventual happiness. So the story is a happy story, potentially. And I'm wondering how far it goes within your work. You go to schools, you go to people and you speak to them about this. Is this becoming more of an increased activity? Are people seeking you out to bring you to their schools or to their associations? Is this a growing trend, if you will?
No, it's not a trend, and it's highly complicated, and it's very difficult to stand in front of you exposing our wounds. But this is a mission. We do our work at the Parent Circle in order to prevent it from happening again. This is our mission, this is our task, this is what makes us tick. This is not an organization of a psychological support group. We are not there to kiss each other and hug each other and eat hummus together. We are there for a political reason. The occupation took away our children. And it's up to us to raise our voice again and again, no matter how difficult it is, and it is difficult, to use the willingness of people to listen to us, people who paid the highest price possible, their willingness to look up to us, to admire us, to show them another possibility instead of killing each other. This is what gives us a reason to get out of bed in the morning. This is what gives us the power to face again and again this senseless killing. And I always say, even if in the end of a classroom we give more than 1,000 meetings with children in Israeli and Palestinian high schools each and every year, even if in the end of the class there will be only one kid, Israeli or Palestinian, nodding his head with acceptance to this message, it's a miracle. We saved one drop of blood. In Judaism, one drop of blood is the whole world. And the reaction that we get from the kids is, you open our eyes, you change our hearts, you should run to politics, and so on. No one can listen to us and stay the same.
Maybe in waiting for the next question, I have one question. So before coming to Luxembourg, you were in Brussels, and there you are involved in a program with young people. Can you tell a little bit about this program? I look at both of you.
This is a program that we are involved in for some years now. It's organized by Simone Susskind. I think she's a member of the Parliament of Brussels or something like this, which involves bringing kids from all around the Belgian educational system to come to visit Israel and Palestine and experience themselves the troubles on the ground. It is highly emotional. Most of the students are Muslims and Christians and some Jews, and they come from the outer space to watch this horrible conflict on the ground. And usually the last meeting is with us, is with the parent circle. And this is in order to give them hope, in order to show them some light in the darkness. Because what we are doing is exceptional. They listen to voices from all the sides of the political spectrum. They listen to arguments, to political arguments. When they meet with us, they listen to the hearts of Israelis and Palestinians who paid the price. And the day before yesterday, we were in a cinema gallery in Brussels with an audience of about 200 young students, and we couldn't leave. They wouldn't let us leave. They drowned us with love. It was highly emotional, very successful. There was one Palestinian girl of a Palestinian origin, and she was crying in a heartbreaking way, and she thanked us for showing her the hope. And it was really emotional and gratifying.
Rami and Bassam, I know that you go regularly in jails to meet prisoners. What is happening when you go to jail, as you went this afternoon in Luxembourg? Because I feel it is something important also. You meet there human beings.
Between us, Bassam is a jail expert.
I only spent 7 years in the Israeli jails. It was my first time to visit the jail in Luxembourg for a few hours. It was very emotional for me. I said there are a common denominator between all the prisoners around the earth, if it's political, if it's criminal, they lose their freedom. You know, I believe that we learn from each other because we are human beings and each one have his own story, his own experience. And we were very happy to talk to those prisoners about reconciliation, how to make peace with themselves, how to develop themselves, how to step out from this jail inside their minds. While I'm talking to them, we are talking to them, I'm talking to myself, and they think about themselves. So it was very useful experience, and I still don't, I need to evaluate this. It was very emotional for me.
I will just add that when we entered, it was just the end of the movie, like we entered here. They were crying. They were very, very emotional. We look at people, we don't know what they did and why they are in jail. Some people were old people, some people were very, very young. They were highly emotional. And when Bassam told them that he spent 7 years in Israeli jail and that that jail is their jail, is kind of a hotel, that he was not allowed even to sing in his jail, they were astonished. They were so moved. And the questions that they asked, the conversations that developed, the humanity that was in the air, no matter what they did, no matter what, the sheer humanity, the concentrated humanity in this dialogue of people who are talking to each other about the ability to overcome anger, about the ability to exercise reconciliation steps, about the ability to step out of yourself and your rage and be able to lend a hand to someone who hurt you. I think for them and for us, it was an outstanding moment, and thank you for organizing it. Thank you, Martin.
Hi, thank you very much for a wonderful film and a wonderful experience. So I know you guys paid the ultimate price of losing your kids, and now you're engaged in a mission of peace and a mission of dialogue in a place where there's so much collective pain. And so my question is, how do you really deal with the following issue? Okay, on the personal level, you're dealing with forgiveness, reconciliation, dialogue, etc. But how do you deal with the structural violence of a state that has occupied the territory and keeps a whole population in pain, in perpetual and collective pain? So how do we, because that is override your efforts.
We fight back. We use the enormous respect that we have on both societies and the willingness of people to listen to us, to raise our voice, and to tell both societies that we lost our children because of this situation of one people dominating the other, and it must be changed. We are not talking about political solution. We don't care if it will be one state or two states or 10,000 states. We need to change the atmosphere. We need to shout out, "Khalas, enough." And we are swimming against the current. We are fighting, and it's not easy, it's not simple. We are facing obstacles wherever we go. But this is a mission, this is our destiny. And as I said, no one can listen to us and stay the same. We don't fool ourselves. It's not an easy task, it's not a walking in the park. When Bassam and myself are stepping into an Israeli or a Palestinian high school class, they are not as polite and receptive and admiring as you are. We are walking into the open mouth of an active volcano. There is a sea of blood between these two nations. There is a huge anger. And when they lay eye on us, for most of them, it's the first time ever in their life they see an Israeli and a Palestinian together without fighting each other. An Israeli and a Palestinian which call themselves brother. We are not putting our pain on the table trying to compare whose pain is bigger and who started what and who's to blame. And this is an historical meeting because it creates an earthquake. And the earthquake creates a crack in the wall of hatred and fear. And through this crack, a little light comes in. And this is our mission, this is our task. We put a little question mark, we put a little doubt. And of course, the authorities don't like us very much for this activity.
And in fact, we know what will happen in the future. We know the result in advance. We will have peace agreement. We are not going to kill each other forever, but we don't know when, how much blood those politicians need to sign this agreement. How much blood the rest of the world, United States and Europe, all the world, waiting for what? To sign this agreement. And we are not the first conflict on earth, and we are not the last one, unfortunately. If you look back a few years to the history of Europe, it was a very bloody conflict. Who can dream to have peace between Germany and France? And always I said the Palestinians didn't kill 6 million Israelis. And the Israelis didn't kill 6 million Palestinians until now. And there is a German ambassador in Tel Aviv. And there is an Israeli ambassador in Berlin. So we need to look forward. We cannot use the future to improve the past. It's over. We need a brave leadership to look forward, not like Netanyahu to mention the Holocaust 5 times a day, which is create more victimhood mentality and more fear. For that, it gives us a reason also to continue doing what we are doing.
Quelqu'un a le micro?
I would just like to ask, how does that work in practice? I mean, there are two different languages. How do you talk to people, and how do you make people talk to each other? In English, or how does it work? Because I guess you both speak Hebrew and Arab both of you. But if you go to a Palestinian school, how does that work then, or otherwise?
We enforce Rami to speak in Arabic. He understands, but he don't speak Arabic. He speaks in Hebrew, and we translate. And more the Palestinian side, we speak Hebrew. We learn in the University of the Occupation, we call it, which is the jails. So we speak in Hebrew and in Arabic, and we translate.
We have quite a wide range of activities that is designed to put the cracks in the wall. The dialogue meetings in high schools is just one of them, the most important one. We talk to hundreds of thousands of students. From the beginning until now, more than 200,000 students listened to us and reacted to our message. But this is only one effort of ours. We do a narrative project in which we bring together groups of Israelis and Palestinians of homogeneous origin, like lawyers, like journalists, like doctors. And they meet each other for about 10 meetings, 15 of each side. And they learn how to listen to each other. They don't have to agree, but they need to be able to listen. And they go through a journey of listening to the pain of the other side. While you are listening to the pain of the other side, you can expect the other side to listen to your pain and start this journey towards reconciliation and some kind of peace in the end. At the peak of it, they are going for one day to Yad Vashem to listen to the story of the Holocaust. On the other day, they go to Lifta, which is a village, ruins of a Palestinian village in the outskirts of Jerusalem of 48. It's not in order to compare the two stories. There is no comparison. It's in order to understand the origin of the pain and the origin of the anger. And this is a huge success. Until now, we have more than 40 groups. more than 1,000 alumni, and these people are our ambassadors in their societies, in a ripple effect, which carry the message on and on and on. On the 14th of December, we will have an event of these alumni in Rabin Square in Tel Aviv, where we will all stand together with our friends from Combatants for Peace, with our friends for Breaking the Silence, with our friends from Standing Together, all the peace movements in Israel, and we will shout out in a very big voice. We will shout, Khalas. Khalas means enough. Enough of the blood, enough of the fear, enough of the killing. And we will have a response from all around the world, like people are moving their heads from the windows all around the world through the social networks. And they will also ask Khalas on the 14th of December. I hope it will be a great success and the sound will be heard.
Est-ce qu'il y a encore une question? Oui.
Oui, il y en a encore.
I have two questions. One of them is about your wives. What are the reactions about your cause? And the second one is about your son. Has he changed after the military? If yes, in what way?
Wives? What do you mean by wives? We are Arabs, we are Palestinians, we give orders and they follow us. That's it.
I can testify who is following orders of whom.
It's in the house only. In fact, it's very difficult to continue doing these activities without the support, especially of the wife. Because most of our times we are outside, even in Palestine and Israel or around the world, and our wives must be the man and the woman in the house. It was very difficult for my wife. She refused to enter with me to listen to the doctors when they want to announce that Abir has passed away. With me in the hospital, it was more than 30 Israeli families who come to support and to pray for 2 days until Abir passed away. And when I go outside, she said to me, now there is no peace. So I said, absolutely, that's it, it's over. But what we can say to those people? And she said, those people are my brothers and sisters, but you are not going to talk about peace. Of course, in that moment, I understand her because we are always arguing about my time. Most of my time was with Combatants for Peace as a co-founder. And always she said to me, we have 6 kids. You need to stay more with the kids. So I said, I am doing what I am doing for them. And after Abir, she said to me, continue doing what you are doing for our kids. We always said that death is not painful for the dead people. We have more tragedies after this tragedy. And one of them was with my son. He was 13 years old. Inspired Rami like his uncle, but Rami is something different. He escaped from his school 3 times to throw stones. He wanted to take revenge. Because he said to me, I see that you are not care about your daughter's blood. And I continue to see the killers of your daughter in my house. He mean the Israelis. Imagine I have this feeling that I am going to lose this kid because he wants to throw 1 stone. And they can shoot him easily. It takes me 4 years to convince him that this is not the way. Luckily, he was with me with the rest of my family to Bradford when I go to the UK to study. It was a year of recovery, far away from the Israelis and the Palestinians. And after 4 years, he understands that this is not the way. He joined the parent circle. And he said, now it's my option, because always I take him to the meetings and he don't understand anything. and he find to himself a partner on the Israeli side in his age, and they start to give lectures to talk about their experience, how he make peace with himself, and his partner named Yigal Elhanan, Rami's son, by chance. So I said, now I make peace with myself and with my son, which is enough.
When something like this happened to a family, it's devastating. If the family was in a crisis, if there were troubles, the family will blow up to millions of pieces. If the family was sound, it will crystallize and become more and more determined. I'm lucky. I'm lucky to say that I'm the less active member of my family. My wife, Nurit, is Professor Nurit Peled Elhanan. She's the laureate of the Sakharov Award on behalf of the European Union for the year 2001. She's a very well-known and determined peace activist. She's a researcher of school books. She wrote a very famous book by the name of Palestinians in Israeli School Books. And she's highly admired around the world and in Israel by peace activists. My two sons were among the founders of Combatants for Peace, and I'm extremely proud of them. And the younger one, Igal, was 5 years old when his sister was killed. He grew up in a crazy house. When it was time for him to go to the army, you saw some of it in the movie, he was under a lot of pressure. On one hand, his brothers, who served as combat soldiers in the Israeli army and later on became refuseniks, tell him not to go. Don't waste your time. His mother, myself, telling him not to go. On the other hand, it's unthinkable not to go. The whole Israeli society is on his shoulders. The pressure is unbelievable. The social pressure is unbearable. You know, people are coming from the army on Fridays telling stories. Your ability to turn your back to them does not exist. And he told me, he told his brothers, that he decided to go. He said, you went, and because you went, you have the authority to speak up. And I want to be able to speak up myself also. So he went to the army. He served as an instructor for young deprived kids on the verge of crime. The army take care of him. And I watched him with a lot of admiration and thankful for his ability to stand up for himself, to identify himself and his identity as a free, independent young person. Today he's a student in Tel Aviv University for Middle East Studies and History. He's working for a joint Arab-Jewish organization which is called Re'ut Tzedakah, which brings together Israelis and Palestinians. And he's also joined the Parent Circle and Combatants for Peace. He's doing dialogue meetings with his partner, Aramin. If you Google their names, Yigal Elhanan and Aramin, you will see one of the best speeches ever made in the Alternative Memorial Evening 2 years ago in Tel Aviv, while these two kids stood on the stage and made one of the most fantastic speeches ever. Yigal Elhanan and Aramin.
Éventuellement, on prend une dernière question, parce qu'on doit à un moment donné libérer la salle.
Thank you for your commitment, and it's beautiful to see you together. Just a political question about a perspective. You said you're a specialist about one state or two states, and what vision to get out of it, and also a word maybe about this new ethnic law that was voted by the Knesset in July, I think.
Give your vision, please.
Well, the Knesset is a problem. As long as we will have a right-wing majority, we will have to suffer, and we will have to resist these fascist laws. We will not be silent, that I can promise you. This is a question often asked, and I usually answer it like this. There is an agreement lying on the table, waiting to be signed. Everyone knows exactly what should be done in order to finish this stupid war tomorrow morning. It has many names. You can call it the 242 resolution. You can call it the Geneva Accord. You can call it the Saudi Initiative. Whatever you call it, one thing is certain. One side, which are the Palestinian Arabs, are giving up 78% of the land, which they believe all of it is only theirs. And the other side, which are the Israeli Jews, are giving up 22% of the land, which they believe is the cradle of their culture. This is the agreement that can be achieved. Most of the Israelis, most of the Palestinians, and most of the world support this two-state solution. And frankly, now, as it stands right now, I don't see the Palestinians giving up their dream about free and independent Palestinian state. And I don't see the Israelis giving up their dream of a Jewish independent state. And I can live with it. We need to learn how to live side by side. I believe that one day, it will take 1 year or 2 years or 100 years, we will create the United States of the Middle East. And people will be equal. Because, frankly, this agreement will be signed. Eventually, it can take 1 year or 2 years. It took the Irish 800 years to get to their agreement. This agreement will be signed the minute the price of not having peace will exceed the price of peace. Only then the two sides will crawl back to the negotiating table to start again where they left off 18 years ago in Camp David. But this is not the main issue. The main issue is the word state. State is not something sacred. A state is not something that you kill or die for. We need to redefine the reasons that we are willing to kill or die for. We need to do a restart of our definitions. A state is a technical tool. You pay your taxes, you get your services, you get security, you get roads. You don't kill and die for it. One state or two states or 10,000 states, it's technical issues. We can have federation, we can have confederation, we can have whatever we want, unless we will obey one rule. One word is essential, and this word is respect. And the minute you are able to respect the other guy and treat him with the same respect that you want to be treated, all the rest are technicalities. And I will tell you a secret, no one listen. The happiest day of my life will be when this man, Mr. Bassam and Rami, will be my prime minister, my president, my emperor, and my king forever.
Thank you, Ron. I'm very busy for that.
Okay. So I think it's time to close. So thank you, Rami.
I will ask permission to ask the last question, if I may.
Yes, please, yes.
Okay. The last question is the most important question. The last question is, what can we do? What will be the message that we will take out of this event? What will we dream about tonight? And what will be the action that we will take tomorrow morning? And I'm speaking to you as a son of a Holocaust survivor. My late father was an Auschwitz graduate. 75 years ago, while they took my grandparents to the ovens here in Europe, the free and civilized world stood aside without lifting one finger. And today, more than 75 years later, while these two crazy nations of ours are massacring each other without any mercy, while this genocide is taking place in Syria and Yemen, while people are drowning in the Mediterranean like flies, and atrocities wherever you look, the free and civilized world is still standing aside, doing nothing. This is really horrible. For the last 18 years, more than 10,000 people have died in our region. Most of them are innocent. Too many of them are young children. This is a crime against humanity. And standing aside while a crime is being committed is also a crime. Now, we don't ask of you to import our conflict to your society. You really have enough problems of your own. We don't want you, and we don't need you to be pro-Israeli or pro-Palestine. It won't help us a bit. We demand of you to be pro-peace, to be against injustice, and against this ongoing situation in which one people is dominating another. It can't go on like this. And I will finish with a message of a Jew, and I am a Jew. With the utmost respect to my people, to my history, to my tradition, and I will tell you that ruling and oppressing and humiliating and occupying millions of people for so many years without any democratic right is not Jewish, period, no two ways about it. And being against it is not anti-Semitism. And if you get into an argument, you can quote me. My name is Rami Elhanan. Now, thank you. And last word. If you want to know more about the organization, about the Parent Circle, which is doing a sacred work on the ground, you can get into our website, which is theparentcircle.org. You can read more stories like ours. You can read about our activities, which are designed to put cracks in the wall. And there is a little button in the bottom of the page. You can push it. Thank you very much. I think Bassam would like to say a word.
Yes, Rami will not tell it, but you also have a box, a big green box when you go out, and you can make a donation for the Parent Circle for their actions. I mean, they need support. They are NGOs, of course, non-profit organization. So now I have the pleasure to invite you to the drink.
Martin.
Yes. Sorry.
No, it's okay.
You wanted to say something?
I agree with him, but just to make balance, you know, the Israelis and the Palestinians.
Please.
He spread his message, and I want to ask you to follow. It's a small song for Mahmoud Darwish, and he says, think of others. As you prepare your breakfast, think of others. Don't forget to feed the doves. As you conduct your wars, think of others. Don't forget those who seek peace. As you go to pay your water bill, think of others, of those who only have the clouds to drink from. When you go home, your own home, think of others. Don't forget the people of tents. When you speak freely with metaphors, think of others. Don't forget those who lost their right to speak. When you think of others, distant others, think of yourself and wish you are a candle in the darkness. Thank you very much.
So I invite you also to stop our stand where you have books. There's also a few DVDs of the film. And if you want to be informed of our next events, you can also just give your email to get our newsletter. Very soon we have a movie at the Utopia, a very good movie from an Israeli filmmaker, Junction 48. So, and thank you for being here tonight.